Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us on KREM 2 News First at 4. I'm Tom Sherry.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Whitney Ward. Starting Monday, Washington's new reopening plan is going to go into effect. That plan, you know, was just announced by Governor Jay Inslee earlier this week.
Yeah, and later today, we should learn more about what metrics in all 8 counties here in eastern Washington, what we must meet to move from one phase to another.
So while that first phase of the governor's new plan is fairly similar to the current restrictions here in place, phase 1 will allow some lower risk fitness facilities to reopen. Gymnastics academies like Spokane Gymnastics can reopen starting Monday, allowing athletes to train with some safety precautions in place. So now owners are busy getting ready to reopen after a challenging year of being closed for 6 of the last 10 months.
The support we've received while we've been closed has been phenomenal, and that's the thing that carries us through. The encouragement from parents and people who let us know that it matters what we do, and us doing the right thing even when it's the hard thing, following mandates that are really challenging, but doing it. It's really reaffirmed our commitment, and we want to be able to give back to the community in the way that the community has supported us and carried us through this last year, which has been obviously beyond challenging.
Dance academies, indoor climbing gyms, tennis centers, and some martial arts studios can also reopen. Gyms can reopen with appointment based on small group fitness training, again with some restrictions in place.
But many of the current restrictions do stay in place during phase 1 of the governor's new plan, like indoor dining is still prohibited. Outdoor dining still limited now to 6 people per table. Retail stores have to stay at 25% capacity. Weddings and funerals can only have a maximum of 30 people. Later this afternoon, though, the state should be releasing more data that shows exactly where our region stands and the metrics that we'll have to move and improve on to move to phase 2. And we'll have more on those coming up tonight on KREM 2 News at 5 and 6.
Well, today, Spokane Public School nurses received the COVID-19 vaccine. They received the first dose of Moderna's vaccine. Vaccines were distributed at SPS Administration Building. The nurses are the first people in the school district to receive that vaccine.
I just am really anxious for it to be available to the public so that our kids can stay in school, not have to be home, just so we could get a break in the pandemic so the trends can go down, so we can have a new normal that's a better normal than what we have now.
The shots were distributed to nurses in 10-minute increments so that it was spaced out and safe.
New at 4 tonight, there will be no more tweets from President Donald Trump. Twitter has now permanently and officially suspended the president's Twitter account. They say the reason is the risk of further incitement of violence after President Trump released a video statement following Wednesday's violence in which he called for peace but also applauded his supporters. His account was at that time then locked for just 12 hours. Now, though, he is suspended permanently. In a thread of tweets, the Twitter safety account said, in the context of horrific events this week, we made it clear on Wednesday that additional violations of the Twitter rules would potentially result in this very course of action. Twitter, not the first social media platform to suspend the president since Wednesday's mob. We know Facebook and Instagram did the same thing.
Well, today, Congress could be moving ahead with an impeachment vote against President Trump. This follows Wednesday's deadly assault on the United States Capitol by some Trump supporters. Now, Democratic leaders have called on Vice President Mike Pence to invoke the 25th Amendment to remove President Trump from office. House Democrats are also discussing moving forward with articles of impeachment.
I think the American people have seen enough, and they are ready for us to do the job of impeaching this man.
A vote could come on that as soon as next week, but there is limited time for a Senate trial to remove the president before Joe Biden's inauguration. President Donald Trump now saying he will not attend President-elect Biden's inauguration. Yesterday, the president released a video condemning the violent mobs more than 24 hours after the assault happened. Despite weeks of calling the election rigged, he now says it is time for unity. But the president still has not conceded and now says he will not attend the inauguration. President-elect Biden says he agrees with President Trump's decision not to attend.
I was told that on the way up here, way over here, that he indicated he wasn't going to show up at the inauguration. One of the few things he and I have ever agreed on. It's a good thing I'm not showing up.
Biden also said it is important to get President Trump out of office. He said whatever happens before or after the presidential inauguration is up to Congress.
Today, new surveillance video shows the moments those protesters breached the grounds of the governor's mansion in Olympia. Governor Jay Inslee says he's now working with State Patrol to make sure the Capitol campus is safer when lawmakers return to work on Monday. All right, here's maybe the highlight of this day, I'd say so. Look at all the sunshine outside. Does not look like winter out there.
Yeah, at 4 minutes after 4 o'clock, we were talking about that. How, you know, it was just, about a month ago that we saw darkness at this time. Pitch black out there, but yeah, it is pretty. Current temperature now 37 degrees here in the Spokane area, and the winds are calm. I noticed that today when I went out for my walk, that there wasn't much in the wind department. We will look for light rain and snow to develop across the area this evening, although when I show you the computer models a little later on in the broadcast, you'll notice it doesn't seem to be as much precipitation as we showed you yesterday. We'll look for an overnight low of 32. I do think we'll see some fog and low cloud setup, and then we'll see 37 tomorrow under pretty much mostly cloudy skies. Chance of a few snow flurries on Sunday, but only light accumulations, if any, and we'll see a daytime high of 38. 7-day forecast coming right up.
All right, thank you very much, Tom. A Cheney High School teacher's dream has now turned into a reality. Mr. Monty Syrie has spent the last 5 years blogging about all 180 school days.
Yeah, that blog is now being turned into a book that he's writing. Syrie's nearly 900 posts reflect on the work that he does with his students and looks for better ways to do it.
180 days for 5 years, that's a lot of writing. Do you ever find any difficulties keeping up with that?
You know, I do. In some mornings when I get up and I'm sitting there and I kind of give myself the 10-minute rule. If I'm sitting there staring at the screen, not imagining anything to write about that day, then I just basically bow out and I let my readers know, like, hey, this is just not going to happen today. The well is pretty dry, and I ask for their forgiveness and tell them I'm going to see them tomorrow. But fortunately, Amanda, that doesn't happen very often.
So Project 180, the journey to better begins, is expected to be available in August. KREM 2's Amanda Rowley, you just saw her there. She's going to share more on this story coming up tonight at 6 o'clock.